Although millions died under the Nazi regime throughout Europe, thousands survived to tell their stories. Some survivors went on to lead successful lives in the public eye as producers, actors, and writers. In this video, we are going to look at public figures who survived the Holocaust. Number 1. Meyer Godley. Meyer Godley was born not too far after Germany invaded Poland in 1939. Although he doesn't remember too many things from his early childhood during the war, the ones he does remember aren't good at all. He said, "I have no memories of joyous events. The first real memories of a childhood I have are after I came to America." His family fled their home as the Germans advanced and ended up in a Ukrainian labor camp. When he was only 3 or 4 years old, he remembers his father wrapping his brother in a talus before carrying him outside the labor camp so he could give him a proper burial. Another memory that haunts Gottlieb was his father, an officer in the Polish army, got into a bus to fight the Germans towards the end of the war. He never saw him again after that day. Eventually, Gottlieb immigrated to the United States, where he produced films including hits like Master and Commander and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Eventually, he was elevated to become the president of Samuel Goldwyn Films. Number 2. Kurt Loehmann. Kurt Loehmann was born in Poland in 1925, but when the Nazis came to power in Germany, he and his family moved to Berlin. They were hoping to find shelter among the Jewish community there, but it wasn't long before the Nazis forced the family to immigrate to the Netherlands. They then planned to immigrate from there to the United States, but the day they were meant to deport, the Nazis invaded. For the first 2 years of the occupation, the Loehmanns managed to avoid deportation, but eventually Kurt and his mother were rounded up and sent to a transition concentration camp in 1943. They were released because of his father's connections, but the family subsequently had to go into hiding. For the next 2 years, the family remained in hiding, but worked actively with a network of Dutch rescuers to save as many people from the Nazis as they possibly could. Under fake identities, Loehmann and his mother helped rescue 150 Jewish children. After the Netherlands were liberated, he helped the Allies by being a translator and helped capture Nazi leaders remaining in the area. Shortly after the war ended, he and his family immigrated to the United States, where he studied acting at the Herbert Burfer Studio in New York. Over the course of his great career, Loehmann starred in more than 100 films and television shows. Number 3. Ruth Siegel. Carola Ruth Siegel was born in June 1928 in Germany to a family of Orthodox Jews who taught her Judaism at an early age. She attended synagogues regularly with her father, but in January 1939 she was sent to Switzerland to live in an orphanage to avoid the horrors of the oncoming war and Nazi regime. Before this happened, she watched her father be taken during the night of broken glass in 1938. She made it to the orphanage at the age of 11, where she was taking care of the younger children. During this time, she wasn't allowed to attend school, but another orphan snuck in books for her at night so she can continue her education. While in Switzerland, her father was killed in 1942, and her mother was killed sometime during the war, but never learned any specific information about her death. Later in life, she moved to the United States, where she became a renowned sex therapist. She is best known for her radio show, Sexually Speaking. Most people now know her as Dr. Ruth, and as the 91-year-old is still busy working with appearances on The View, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and other shows. Number 4. Roman Polanski. In 1933, Roman Polanski was born in Paris to a Jewish family. The family relocated in Krakow in 1936 when Germany began its invasion of Poland. The Polanskis were rounded up and forced to live in the Krakow ghetto. He started school at the age of 6, but was only there for a few weeks before all the Jewish children were suddenly expelled. Shortly after, all Jews were required to wear armbands with a blue Star of David so they could be identified easily. It wasn't long before the Germans began deporting Jews from the ghetto, and he watched as both of his parents were sent to concentration camps. Polanski managed to escape the ghetto in 1943 and was able to survive the remainder of the war, receiving help from the Polish Roman Catholics. When the war ended, he began working in films in Poland and eventually became an Academy Award-winning director. Nowadays, he's mostly known for his work in Hollywood and his criminal affairs with young girls that keeps him from ever returning to the United States. Number 5. Robert Clary. Robert Clary was born in France back in 1926. He began a life in show business very early by singing professionally on a French radio at the age of 12. By 1942, he was deported to the Nazi concentration camp in Poland. He didn't remain there for long and was forced to get a tattoo A5714. After that, he was sent to Buchenwald concentration camp, where he was made to sing for a gathering of soldiers every Sunday. He said singing, entertaining, and being in kind of good health at my age, that's why I survived. I was very immature and young, and not really fully realizing what situation I was involved with. I don't know if I would have survived if I really knew that. Clary remained at Buchenwald until the camp was liberated on April 11, 1945. He was the only survivor of his 13 family members sent to the camps. After the war ended, Clary returned to Paris, and it wasn't long before he returned to show business. He continued singing and gained a lot of worldwide recognition. He toured the United States, where he met Eddie Cantor, the man who would become his father-in-law. He acted in films and television and is best known for his work on Hogan's Heroes, where he played Corporal Louis LeBeau.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a like.